What's up, everybody? Welcome to a brand new exciting episode of How About That? I have a good friend of mine who will be on this episode. But first, I want to remind you guys that got a brand new Facebook page. It's called facebook.com/How About That NYC. And you definitely want to jump on the Facebook page on this episode because we're going to be talking about some instructions that you might want to be able to download and follow along as we go with this episode here. And, unfortunately, we're in this time where a lot of us in the country are locked down and we can't go out. We can go to the supermarket and whatnot. We can go to a couple stores here and there, but it's really hard. And I think the best way to use this downtime right now that we're in is pick up a new hobby. And you know what? I might even jump into this as a new hobby. And we're talking about airbrushing. And I'm here with my friend David from California. What's up, man?
Vinnie, how you doing, man?
I'm doing all right, hanging in there, man. Excited to be doing this new show. And, time is flying in a weird way, that's for sure. There you go. Well, we're going to go ahead and David, we're going to play a clip first, and then I'll let you give a background on who you are and your background and how you got started with airbrushing. Sounds good?
Awesome.
Nice. Well, that's just a little montage of what David does, and AKA Air Magic. We met in around 2004, 2005. I saw you doing your thing. We became friends ever since. And how long have you been doing airbrushing for?
I picked up airbrushing in college. I used to do a lot of penciling and a lot of fades and stuff. And I ran into a good friend of mine, Richard, PT for Party Time was his nickname. And he used to work at an art store. And me and him would go after school and do our homework. And I think I helped him. Yeah, we made I helped him in a mural in a nightclub. And my payment was an airbrush gun. And
Nice.
after that, this was back, I'm going to say, Jesus, crikey. 20, 30 years ago, college days. And I own like 70 airbrushes now, let's put it that way.
Wow, very long time. So that's
Yeah.
really cool. And, as we've seen in the montage, and you got some of your artwork behind you, you do an array of everything. I've seen, back in the day, you did some airbrushing on denim jackets, graduation t-shirts. We've seen a Sacramento Kings cowbell in there.
Yep.
So pretty much anything you could almost airbrush, right?
right. One of my first business cards that anything and almost everything. You can airbrush shoes, t-shirts, jackets. I've done cars, I've done motorcycles, I've done helmets. I've airbrushed people. I've done it all. And yes, sir, it's a very versatile medium.
Very cool, very cool. And tell us about your more of your background before getting into airbrushing. You know, did you enjoy drawing as a kid, or as a college student? Did you take any
Right,
art
right,
classes prior to this? Because I'm sure people are watching this going, "Man, I'm intimidated, and I only do stick figures, man."
right. Yeah. You've seen me paint and draw. Uh, there's a such a thing as a natural artist, and I've just always been able to draw. When I was a kid, my mom, she had beautiful handwriting, and I was one of the things I remember about my mom. Her handwriting was immaculate. She did some curly cues and just beautiful handwriting. And my dad was an electrician, and he was good with his hands. He could fix the car and fix the whatever in the house. And I think airbrush is the happy medium of both of these things. Her art, her beauty and art, and then my dad's mechanic and stuff.
Right.
Because then with your airbrush, you gotta fatal with the airbrushes. It's not just a brush. It's like a tool. You got the airbrush itself. It's got movable parts. Then you got air going through it. You got paint on top of it, and so it's a little bit of a you gotta be a little art mechanic, the airbrush mechanic to make them work because they get clogged up. And then of course you gotta produce the art, and that's where my mom's juice come in. And yeah, so that's natural artist. I've been able to draw my whole life. I remember we were just talking to that me and my lady Courtney about album covers and how I used to uh, draw covers on my books. We used to have paperback covers, and I used to draw the Kiss albums and Boston and whatever, pencil on it. Or and then I started, just keep drawing. And uh, but that's how I kept going with the art in school and things like that. But that's another story. But yes, I'm a natural artist,
There you
basically.
go. Fantastic. Now, you and I, we met at a community event back in California, and, it was good timing. It was right at the end of the year, and I came up to you, and I had another TV show, and I said, "Hey, I want to interview you and talk to you about this event and about you." And we had a good time. And you, at the time, had your own business in a mall, and talk to us a little bit about that.
Right, right. But first, I want to say congratulations, Vinnie. You've come a long way. When I first met this guy, he was this young kid, and he was wearing some shorts, and he had his pockets were full of mics and wires were coming out, and he was dropping stuff. And I go over, I go, what are you doing, dude? And he's like, oh, I have a Access TV show and stuff. And he had his little camera and a mic on his pocket, and like I said, just dropping and fumbling stuff. And he goes, can I interview you? And I said, sure, go ahead and interview me. And I think it's on YouTube, right? We have that on YouTube, and it's a hilarious interview. It was super fun, and that's the first day I met Vinnie. And man, congratulations, Vinnie. You come a long way, man.
Thank you, man. Thanks. Appreciate it. And it's funny, I'll mention before you get into your story about the shop at the mall. And he says, hey, thanks for doing the interview with me. Do you want anything? And I said, it'd be cool if you put my TV show logo on a t-shirt or something. He's like, okay. So goes and he does the shirt, and I'm just like blown away, and I'm filming it and doing this like, fancy cinematic time lapse. And I'm like, just, in awe going, dude, I just told this guy like how to spell my name, and he just like had it like that, and I was impressed. So again, like David said, I had all this equipment I'm carrying, no other camera person with me. So he's like, hey, take the shirt, and I set it down, and I turn around, and I go to the next booth, and and I start interviewing the next person, and I turn around, and I'm like, where'd my shirt go?
right,
And it turns out that somebody else that like watched my show in the area, they just thought, hey, it's the new Vinnie Langdon exclusive T-shirt, so I'm just gonna take it and wear it and steal it. And yeah, good times there.
right,
And then about 10 minutes away from where we met, you operated a shop in a mall for years, and
right, right.
you just did
So
airbrushing out of that.
right. So what happened there was I had the booth. I was doing the booth at the Vacaville Creek Walk back in the day, and that's when me and you met. And what was happening was I was in between jobs because I'm a graphic designer by trade, and I was doing my graphic design, and I was just pushing my airbrush work. And somebody at the Creek Walk came up to me and said, "Hey, you should go work at the mall because they're looking for somebody." And I looked into it, and I met a really good friend of mine, Ken Patel, and he owned that aftershock at the mall. And I think that's where I went up and was airbrushing for him. Um, and he ventured on to his own business, another business, and basically let me have his business. And that was the birth of Air Magic airbrushing at the mall in Solano, Fairfield, California.
There you
And
go.
that's where, yeah, I did that for, I'm gonna say 6 years. What was that? A retail airbrush store at the mall. It was kind of hip and cool, and you were there a couple of times. And
Hey,
the
yeah,
video, the intro we'd have here is the store. But
right.
I'm
You
doing
saw
Vinny's
that.
backdrop.
Yeah, right. We did that. And it was interesting because, you have this background with, like you said, graphic designing and whatnot. And do you think that business, operating out of a mall, that taught you the business side of it too, right?
Yes, sir. We did a lot of photo transfers, and basically, you bring us your little baby or your little puppy or whatever, and we would take a picture, scan it, and we could do the graphic design on it and put the happy birthdays on there or happy anniversary graphic design stuff, business cards or pamphlets, posters, uh, those kind of items. Commercial wise, what I do at work is probably the other end, more professional books and magazines and that kind of stuff, and a lot of uh, graphic design gears towards the web design as well. And with the social media now these days, there's a lot of graphic art out there, and um, a lot of people consider themselves graphic designers these days because the proliferation of apps, computers, and such.
Right.
But I keep it to myself. It's my trade, and I welcome everybody to do their graphic design work using graphic designers.
Hey, David, you could be a model on Instagram and call yourself a model. Hey, look at that,
Yeah,
right? The life we live in.
I consider myself an influencer in
There
the
you
wrong
go.
way, though.
There you go. So let's talk about some of the different, types of work that you've done, and you've got some behind you want to show off and
Right.
tell us a little
So
bit about.
yes, sir. Yeah, when we met, I was doing the I'm gonna call it like the carnival airbrushing, where you wanted your name with the flag or your daughter's name on a shirt with the butterfly. And we were doing back in the day. We were doing on the fly, and it was pretty fast and dirty. Usually, I was just selling people's names, shirts for $20. And what was starting to happen was people were like, "Hey, can you put my, paint me a little doggy on the side, or paint me a little strawberry, or add some cherries." So it was all real fast and dirty. And that was a great time for t-shirts and at the mall as well, because people walk up and everybody's different. Everybody wants, can you paint my car in the back of my jacket? Paint me my portrait. We want basketballs for the 30 kids in our basketball team. So it was very dynamic and very just spontaneous. You never knew what was coming up the front door, but you got to be ready and be able to knock it out. And I had a really good setup, and we'll get into this if we do talk about this. Just having the right equipment, and I studied and I researched a lot of good artists that were influencing me. So I see what their setup was, and I sort of copied them, or I learned from them.
Sure.
And so I was able to do a lot of work fast and dirty. And I learned from the pros how to do stuff like that. And it was really good at that time. And then, so yeah, the style was very dynamic and crazy. But, you know, things happen and life goes on. And eventually I went back to work went back to my trade, working as a magazine editor and graphic design and such. And then my airbrush sort of took not a back seat, but a side seat. And I was able to just have fun with it. And then I've always loved black and white horror movies, Frankenstein, Chucky, and the Chainsaw Massacre. And I'm a heavy metal kind of guy, and the horror part of it, and just I don't know, it's I like that stuff. Black
Right.
and black, and so I sort of focused on the black and white art, and that's why I sort of I called it my black and white era, but it hasn't ended, and I'm still
Right.
doing black and white. I just love black and white, and now when I do color, it's really strange to me, like because I used to do neon color, yellow, bright
At the
shirts.
time, you were like, "This is cool," and now you're like, "Yeah, I'll
Yeah,
go back to
and
the
then
simple
so
days,"
now
you know?
right, like I said, it became a hobby, and I don't know. I just love the black and white, man. It's just I like it. I like the
Right.
black and white, the black and white era, and such. It just portrays more. It's kind of I don't know if it's harder or what it is, but this guy is about to kill you right here, and he don't need no color. He don't need no
That's
color.
awesome. And you were talking about, like the carnival style that was fast and dirty, quick and easy, 10 minutes here, here, there. But those artworks pieces behind you actually don't take 5, 10 minutes. Those can actually take up to, days and almost a length of a week, right?
Yes, sir. Yep.
Yeah.
Again, I I'm not gonna say I'm fast, but I know I've been doing it for years. I've been doing it for years, and I'm pretty solid at what I do. Um, these guys here took me hours per se. They're again, I like to call my style fast and dirty. Usually, I drop my wife off at work, and she goes and works all morning, afternoon, and oh my God, it's 5 o'clock, time for me to pick her up. And basically, I knocked out a piece within that 8 hour shift. And
Gotcha.
those are when I'm by myself and just focused on one piece. I can pretty much knock it out pretty fast and dirty. Again, training yourself is is essential, and working at the mall is nothing but boot camp. Because somebody walks in and they want a shirt done and they want it now, you have to be able to say, go grab some lunch, come back and pick it up, and you better knock it out.
Right,
So
right.
that's pretty much the time frame that I just got used to, and so it's kind of a hard drill on me because I know I can do it, and it's one of those sort of like a curse, and I'm pretty sure you know what I'm talking about, Benny, because when people
Sure.
know how good you are, they expect it.
Right, right. And then as an artist ourselves, then we have that niche in us where we're perfectionists too. So we're going, this isn't leaving my hands until it is, 110% perfect. So,
Right?
you know,
And you have to deliver, right?
right,
At the end of the day,
right,
it's gotta be delivered.
right. So we got a few minutes left, and I want to jump into this before we wrap up. Is someone out there is probably inspired right now. They're sitting in their apartment or, at their house and going, man, I, I'm a good artist and I like drawing in school or I liked, doodling just for the fun of it. I remember when I was a kid, I would have to go to my grandparents and, my parents would be talking and, my grandparents would be like, hey, here's a stack of, papers, go draw in the corner, let the adults talk. And I enjoyed it. It was calm, it was relaxing, and you could just zone in on, whatever your brain's thinking of, whether it's people or like you said, pets or animals or, you know, heavy metal album covers,
Right.
why not? But
Yep.
people are probably sitting at home going, airbrushing, I never thought of that. First of all, is it inexpensive? Can they jump into it as a good hobby? And what are the first, things that they should get into? What kind of paints?
Um, we have a great instructional video, Mr. Vinnie right here. We how to airbrush T-shirts. You're gonna put the link on here somewhere, Vinny.
Yeah, people can go
And
to the
we
Facebook
walk through
page
the
we mentioned.
process. And yeah. Vinnie has airbrushed. He airbrushed, helped me airbrush some cowbells, and I've had him
Uh,
airbrush at the shop. And Vinnie's was one of my employees. Let's put it that way.
yeah,
But
until
yeah, airbrush. Um, Courtney is an artist as well, and when we went on lockdown, she likes to do pours, liquid pours. It's a technique of acrylic painting and silicone based mixing, and then you just drop your paints and they create this crazy little designs and artsy stuff. It's very crazy. I like to draw this kind of stuff, but yeah, people, if don't be afraid, get buy yourself a tablet, buy yourself a book, paper, whatever. Watercolors are real easy and cheap. Watercolors $1, a little set of paint. Get yourself some watercolor paper and just go for it. Airbrushing is basic as well. You gotta buy an airbrush and a little air compressor. You can buy a little diaphragm, $100. I'm gonna say it's cheap, but $200 you can get yourself going. Or go to Hobby Lobby. Hobby Lobby. I'm not propping nobody, but Hobby Lobby sells airbrushes for $15, and they sell a compressor for $50. And you could probably start airbrushing. Get yourself some acrylic paints, and then if you want to get move into professional grade stuff, then move up. But if you want to just get started, yeah, go buy yourself just don't go try it out first, see if you like it.
right, right. Before you start investing all this money in and going, I got all this paint, now I'm stuck with it. I mean,
Yes, sir.
that happens to all of us at some point. But it was great talking with you, David, on this episode. And like David said, we have done instructional videos on t-shirts and cowbells. He's gonna end the show off by showing you some of his artwork here, but you guys can go on to the Facebook page of How About That NYC, and when this episode is on there, you guys can click the link in the description. We'll have a list of some of the tools that David was mentioning and some of them that he recommends. And, and for you, yes, it's a career, but it is a great hobby to jump into, especially during these times where we got all this time on our hands going, what else could we do for the next 4 hours before dinner or after dinner when the sun's going down? Get yourself a tablet, start drawing, start painting, and I'm sure you'll be surprised at what you come up with. And look at that, good old pinhead. There you go. And before we finish, David, has there been a character that you absolutely always love that you said, I haven't had the time yet to, jump into, or is there, someone influential in your
I
life?
always wanted to do the Xenoform from because it's one of my favorite movies, Alien. And this piece is what do you call it? It's bittersweet is the word. I knocked it out on one of those quick and dirty weekends, and I must have had it for I want to say a week or two because then we had that SinisterCon show, and I think you have a picture of I do. That's on my airbrush Air Magic airbrushing Facebook page, and I got a picture with the person who bought it, and they had a Alien versus Predator wedding,
Hmm.
and they bought this piece, and this piece is about yay big. So just so you see how big they are.
Sure.
This is
Right.
how big they are. They're kind of big, and they took it. And Alien was one of my favorites.
Very
The
cool.
Alien, and my next the Freddy Krueger was also pretty good.
Right.
Yeah, I have too many favorites. Let's put it that way.
There you go. And a lot of these kids are loving Pennywise and the It movies and the return of that, Stephen
Oh,
King, and oh man, and Creatures of the Black Lagoon and all those good old
it's
movies
hilarious.
where you're just going, man, the best horror films all started in the beginning. Very cool.
Don't
Well,
hurt me, Chucky.
there you go. Well, David, aka Air Magic, if people want
Vinny,
more information, they can go to your website. They can find you on Facebook. Just look up Air Magic, airmagic.biz. Check out his website. And like we said, he has video clips on there, more photos, pictures. And if you have more questions for him, Yeah, I don't think he's gonna do anything like Chucky would. There you go. All right, David. Good seeing
Vinnie,
you,
thank you so
man.
much, man.
And
Congratulations, man.
thanks.
You're
All
doing
right.
so good, man. Appreciate it.
All right, man. We'll see you guys on another episode of How About
Stay
That?
cool and keep drawing.
Keep drawing. That's what he said. All right, man. We'll see you guys.